Late Night Health continues. I'm Mark Alyn, Gary Stewart co-hosting, and of course the insane Daryl Wayne with us as always. We're going to be talking with the author of Soul Cyphers, Decoding a Life of Hope and Happiness. This helps you discover your true worth. Our guest, of course, is our regular contributor, Robert Clancy. Robert, I'm really excited about this book. I really am. And thanks for joining us today. I think we're the first one to actually broadcast or air an interview with Robert.
Excellent.
You are correct, sir. This is the first broadcast interview on the new book. Yes.
Yeah, well, that's what we wanted. That's great. So we're breaking news. We're breaking news now. Next hour, we're going to be breaking news about lead for children. You know, exposure to lead, limiting that. There's a new report that's came out a couple days. I got a preview of it, and it'll be coming out as we air. So we'll be talking about that later on. All right. We have talked about this a lot. You saw an angel, Robert. She saved your life. Could you give us a short version of that story?
Yeah, well, actually, I had hit rock bottom at age 19, and before I go into that part, I have to preface that I'm probably the most analytical, logical person you'll see on this planet. I actually got 100 on a logic exam in college, so that's how logical my mind is. And I actually hit rock bottom. I had several friends that I lost to suicide and in car accidents, and my girlfriend broke up with me. And I really went off the rails. I started mixing prescription drugs and alcohol, and I just didn't want to feel anything. I just was checked out. So, the restaurant I worked in, I should have been fired for one thing, because I would show up, to work pretty messed up, or I would just be so despondent that, really I wasn't doing my job. And this waitress pulled me aside at the end of the night. She said, "I know what you're doing to yourself, and you need to stop, or you're going to end up killing yourself." She handed me this booklet on how to meditate, and me being the analytical person, I went home and followed the instructions. So I was deep into like a 3-hour meditation, thought I saw a light, and I opened my eyes and there was a light shining on the wall. Well, long story short, I couldn't not see the light, even with my eyes closed or open, and then it just unfolded into an angel. So there's no other way to put it other than that. And I kept this a secret for 30 years because I just didn't want to be judged, and I just lived. And obviously it changed my life.
Had you told your wife?
I had, yeah. While we were dating and engaged, yes, she knew a few people. There's a handful of people. Most of the people that I've told over the years were pretty close to death or had, were about to cross over. So I wanted them to have peace in knowing that there is more, there is a heaven. And
is there a hell too?
Well, there's a good question. I would imagine, me being the logical person saying, well, if there are angels, then there must be the other side too. And that's when I changed my, life. I was given a path, and I just lived and would help people. I see people struggling and say, maybe you want to say a prayer, and kept going. And I told my dad and my family on December. Well, actually, it was in 2012. It was early 2012, and I decided to tell them because that was the night my mother was passing away, and I wanted him to have peace. I never, unfortunately, got a chance to tell her,
but she knows
about this. Yeah.
There's a very moving story about you telling your dad, and how the next day he said, "Hey, tell your uncle about your angel visit." I found that fascinating. I have to ask this to many people, religious and not, and I invite Gary to jump in with questions as well. And you already said it. You're logical, okay? How do you have this faith? How does somebody who may not have belief in a higher power and something else, How did they accept the story?
Well, here's the funny part. Up to that point, I was that person. I questioned everything and thought, the same things that most people think. If there's a God, why does he let this happen? All these devastation in the world and all these things. And so, yeah, I understand that perspective. I don't have faith anymore in that sense. I only have belief. So there's a different way to live after that point. And I've just been in awe of people who have faith, who just have that unrelenting faith out there. Mm-hmm. And that's, I think, where I didn't feel worthy of the experience because I didn't have that.
Yeah, my wife and I were driving around yesterday and we saw a license plate. I'm not going to give what it actually said, but it was a very religious statement. And you could tell that person was a Christian. And I know a lot of Orthodox Jews, and they have such strong faith in their religion. I've met Muslims who, again, follow Islam, and they are devoted to their belief and their faith. Is that the same thing you're talking about, Robert?
Yes, and I've had an interesting perspective on that. I view each religion as sort of a ladder that leads us all to the same point, and it's the voice that speaks best to you and your soul. So, to me, it's all the same. There are no real differences in the big picture, as long as you have something that's taking you up that ladder, and that's really what's key. Is what resonates with you and your soul and your heart.
That's a very good way of putting it. I've always thought that whatever you believe is okay, right?
Absolutely.
It's an individual thing.
And even being an atheist is a belief that there's no God.
No, absolutely,
so
it is.
That's a belief in and of itself, which sounds contradictory, but it's true.
I was watching a Netflix show, Longmire, last night, and the Longmire is about a sheriff in Montana or Wyoming. It's actually pretty good TV show, and they had an escaped convict who was a mass murderer, but he heard voices, Robert, and I have to ask, if these voices that you've heard say, go to the mountain and bring a sacrifice, what then?
Right, and I can't really judge the people. I was the same person that, before my experience would sit there and go, okay, that's just crazy. Like they're hearing God talk to them, or they're hearing this, or this appeared. Right. And, I was that person. And then when something like that happens to you, I feel like I'm John Denver in the movie, Oh God, you're kind of going, well, I got all this information now, these words, and I started posting on my Facebook page, and it grows to over 500,000 people, and I just wake up inspired by almost everything, and I know it changed my life in profound ways. And I have this view of the world that with that knowledge and knowing, hey, we're all held. There is something higher than us that cares, and there's love and all these things. But I can't really judge the person who hears things. Now, there is obviously mental illness that can play a role, and there's also, in my logical mind saying, these don't always line up. There's something else beyond our understanding.
And the commendations for the book are coming in. The foreword was written by internationally acclaimed Marcy Shimoff, the Times #1 best-selling author of Chicken Soup for the Woman's Soul, featured teacher in The Secret. She's been all over, and she has her thing on happiness, Happy for No Reason. That's the name of her book?
Yes.
And we hope she's got a new book coming out, and Robert's going to introduce us. Hopefully she'll be here on the show. All of this stuff that we're talking about, the soul, how does that affect our health? both physically and mental, Robert.
Yeah, I have a view. We're not humans with souls. We're souls surrounded in our humanity. And when you have that different perspective, because, growing up, I always thought, okay, I'm a person and there's a soul inside me. But really, I'm a soul with an outer shell of a person.
Mm-hmm.
And when you can connect on that level, it can affect your health in profound ways, in profound positive ways. Just smiling alone can change the chemistry in your mind. I'm a science person. I'm an analytical person. Even if you don't believe any of the other stuff, I'll guarantee if you smile, it will change your chemistry in your mind, even if it's a fake smile. And there's chemical and electrical that's going on, and there's hormones and endorphins that get released and different things that happen throughout your body. And I believe you can heal yourself by keeping a positive outlook. And I have proof of it because my mother, when she had cancer, and I wrote about this story in the book,
right?
She was diagnosed with cancer. I think it would have shortened her life by a year or more until she got dementia and forgot she had cancer. And every day after that, she was happy. And there was no worry. And the worry was killing her.
Mm.
Worry kills us all. We have to let that go, don't we?
Absolutely. And I've been able to live without fear, doubt, or worry for the last 30-plus years after that experience I had. And, some people say, you sure you weren't dreaming? Are you sure you weren't hallucinating? You weren't on drugs? I wish I was, because then I have an explanation for what happened. The only thing I have as proof, and no one, I talked to myself in the mirror after this. I said, you're going to have to live the rest of your life carrying this. No one's ever going to believe you. You're going to have to live with knowing, and your life as you knew it is changed forever.
That's great.
I met a woman at a radio remote in New Mexico a couple of years ago, and she had Alzheimer's, and she said that the joy is that you hang out with the same people every day, but you meet new people every day.
Right.
Yeah. No, absolutely.
They're the same people, but you get to be reintroduced to new things and new people every day.
50 first dates.
Yeah.
Yes.
Right? Exactly. No, it's true. And at the same time, I'm pretty open about this kind of stuff. But at the same time, that analytical, logical, scientific thing in my background says, And it's like when I've interviewed people who say they've been on spaceships and captured by UFOs, and I've asked, okay, take me,
Take me to your leader.
Take me to, yeah, exactly. Well, our leader is obviously Robert Clancy.
Absolutely.
And the author of Soul Cyphers, Decoding a Life of Hope and Happiness. I was reading some advanced chapters last night, some really, truly great stories. Well, we're going to come back with Robert in just a couple of moments, and this is his regular time on the show, but we'll continue talking about Soul Cyphers. Let me give you a website, soulcyphers.com, soulcyphers.com, and you can also go to latenighthealth.com and facebook.com/latenighthealthradio. We'll be back. Thank you very much. Daryl.
Welcome to Guide to the Soul. This is Robert Clancy. Balance in life isn't about making everything equal. It's about sharing equal parts of your heart for each area of your life. Many people seem to struggle with bringing their life into balance. Family, work, and health all seem to be a challenge these days. Think of the demands you have on your own schedule and time. It can be frustrating and overwhelming. What's most important to discover is that peace is not about finding a quiet place among the chaos. Peace is about listening for the divine whispers of love amidst this turmoil. Take a breath and you will find balance.
For more inspiration from Robert Clancy, visit guidetothesoul.com or go to the Moments with Robert page on latenighthealth.com.
Are you being audited, and do you owe the IRS $10,000 or more in back taxes? Is the IRS threatening to take more of your money? Don't fight the IRS alone. The Tax Doctor is here to help you negotiate a lower tax bill. The IRS can freeze your assets and seize your bank accounts, but you can stop these IRS actions. The Tax Doctor will fight for you using industry secrets that can stop any IRS actions, eliminate penalties and interest, and reduce your past tax bill so you pay the IRS less. If you owe $10,000 or more in back taxes, call the Tax Doctor now for a free IRS audit emergency review.
800-663-5107. 800-663-5107. 800-663-5107. That's 800-663-5107.